So here we are at Saltwick Bay, the wilder side of the east coast of Yorkshire. I feel really connected to this landscape. Passionate about being here. We've got this most amazing light, it's a contre-jour. We're working with some tones at first. I often work with an underpainting of mauves because it kind of warms the scene. So a foundation will always warm the work. There's a tremendous amount of this light blue as well within the cliffs at distance. Just keep judging your tones. Yellow and blue make green, and there's really soft greens up there as well. Just let the pastels do the work for you. There's no messing about with paint, although I love to work with paint. We can actually see within the tray how I've split all mine and between lights, darks and hard pastels. And you'll notice that most of them are wrapper off, which means I can get out the full access to the stick like I'm doing right now with this harder piece of a Rembrandt. And it gives me a way in which I would use it rather like I would do in the studio with or even in outdoors with a chisel brush. As you can see the size of it, I'm able to work very, very quickly and very geometrically and strongly with confidence. So when you see how I'm bringing my colours right across to the distance, and we almost feel like we lost my initial line drawing, but I know where it is because it's in position. The sun, as you can see, is pulling out these colours from the landscape brilliantly, and I can really put quite a lot of that in with tremendous gusto, but the eye will follow the direction of the stroke always. So it is absolutely imperative that you as an artist think of how you want the viewer to be taken on a journey through your work. These small little flashes are a little bit like what I call kaleidoscope of art, where you pick one colour and then you can actually start to identify where that is within the landscape, whether it's what's called a top colour, the colour which will exist in the final viewing of the work, or whether it will be a base colour on which we layer further pastels. A lot of pink in this painting. That gives me another facet for warmth, and it's even in the sea. And as the sky starts to warm, I have to be very quick because I love the way those clouds are just sort of banking in shape behind Saltwick Bay cliffs there out towards the nab. And I'm just going to work around the shape of the nab with that pink so that I definitely know that I've got my wonderful position of it. And then out to sea, good section of it. And then as we cut back into the cliffs, this is called negative painting, when you cut back in. So I'm going to move on with a little bit more of a lighter colour. So again, we're using some of these almost white, but it's not. This beautiful unison colour here will give me, it's snapped in half, so it gives me an ability to be able to sort of use it on the edge, as well as to be able to use it on its side like I'm doing at the moment, pushing these colours. I'm switching to using a hard pastel now. Now this hard pastel, this is a Rembrandt, and it gives me that wonderful edge, and it's better than a pastel pencil primarily because they have more content of pigment within it, and it's so hard and sharp but yet beautifully made that it gives me a lot of pigment on the surface. I'm just focusing again at the moment on the very important profiles of those cliffs, how they actually stand out in a particular way. It's very important that you get the topography right within a landscape. You know, about right just won't do. It actually has to be the scene, you know, and you owe it to yourself as an artist to get that right. Right, I'm working with this gorgeous colour at the moment. This is called Dark 24. It's a unison colour. I had the joy of working with unison and until we eventually invented this colour. It took us 18 months to do it, but we were chasing an indigo, and we've gone through lots of different things, and it's a very, very useful colour. It's now part of their top selling set, which is the Midnight set, and here I'm actually using it within part of my Moorland box set, and which was created for unison. Even the seagulls agree. And it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous kind of colour. You don't have to use black, you see. And how blue and yellow now make green. Monet worked in series. The light changes the light changes rapidly, as do the cliffs. These kind of colours, you think, oh, what are you going to do with those? You just kind of like place those. It's the nabs out of place, your cliffs were too big. It's all part of the painting. It's the honesty. It's the way in which we can use those as integral marks within the painting to keep it all really exciting. Been going quite a while doing this, and if you notice with all the different layers that I put down, because of this very receptive board, because of the tooth and the quality of it, I actually haven't had to use any fixative whatsoever yet. Delighted I've got my edges correct. Even if I walk away from this with a few shots to create, I've got the essence of the painting. But I'm realistically hoping I can get as much of it down as possible for the light changes. You've got the morning, and you've got the afternoon, and then you've got the evening. There's almost like 3 set stages, and then you've got daybreak as well. I noticed as I was approaching site before, especially further up, how much crimson there was within the landscape. And we'll be using that to complement this wonderful earth green as well. So we can magic this rock here, this long rock here, by just taking this line all the way through and then dropping a few of these chunky strokes downwards, and then going back to a very, very dark blue within the box set as well to feel some of the deeper marks. There's another piece of those Dark 24 there. I can actually put a little bit on my finger like this, and I can use that to smear it as well. And then by doing that, it gives you a softening effect. You just use these amazing slight blending tools like that, and it gives you a softness within the landscape. And here, got a bit of a blue sky that's come behind. I like the silver light as we had it, but we have a little bit of blue from earlier, so we can use a very, very light sort of cobalt blue. I'm just going to sort of pick a little bit of that early morning blue that we saw. That was just sort of facing its way into that sort of area. Great the way the light is actually catching some of these edges of the stones. And it's not just white, it's actually a reflection from what's happening in the sky, so they've got a tiny trace elements of blue to them. Keen observation is key to making a painting really feel like a place. And then this very, very kind of light pink now being picked out quite a lot across the beach as it starts to dry out. And keep some of the areas where the sand is a little bit wetter. But this is all about working around the shapes and finding and just sort of working the tones in together, an impression of what's going on really. Again, every mark you put down counts. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to focus on smartening the piece up a bit. So we're going to look at creating landscape. I'm going to be creating all of these little bits of detail and facets, and I've deliberately broken a colour I was using earlier, this unison colour light green, and you'll see how clean that edge is when we look at the close-ups. Luminous green again, and then find with a bit of pressure on some of these strokes, side strokes, eye following the direction of the stroke, and it picks out the sharpness against those rocks. Again, the lovely bend of this particular one, it's just a scooped mark that comes in, and then we can work against that edge back into the other side of the rock. Lines that go downwards, expresses its shape. Back over here, you can actually roll the pastel like this, which is another way of being able to create very, very specific type marks with a broken edge. Just let the pastel dance across the surface, really, that's what it is, but turn the edge so it gives you a few almost pencil-like marks. And I love the way the tide has taken this out to sea now, and we can actually see a lovely line of dark stones, which adds a trace element of impression. Now take the pastel on its side, straight mark right across like that will give you the effect of what we see as a shale shelf. Once you set down a stone or two, they become like markers within your painting, and just keep switching and changing and making them right, you know, within. If we look at the scene and we look at my work, there's one thing that the colour is missing. The overall kind of feeling of warmth to it. I've started some of that with the purples, but within the colour palettes, the colour which is missing most of all is reds. So we're going to start with some of those really soft unison ones, and this is a red earth. Look twice, draw once, that's very, very important. Don't just put it down for the sake of it. Every little mark that you apply will bring warmth and glow to this entire painting. Love the way the weather changes here like that. There's just that little presence of brown in there. It links everything together. So we don't want to make it look too somber. We've got an uplift of glow too about things. Layers again here. Stroke those in the opposite direction. Okay. So there's a little bit of attention that's needed here in the foreground. It's a little bit sort of rough and ready at the moment. I've focused predominantly on the topography in the background, but what I'm ready to do right now is to just smarten up a few of these with some earth colours, sandy colours, work both positively and negatively with these shapes, and look at all of that fantastic wet and dry tonality within the landscape here, just this sort of mini landscape, and look at those colours, pull them out, and then we've got the essence of our scene, and then we're almost ready to go then. Okay, so let's do it. So I've taken the wrapper off another one of my unisons, brand new one that I brought with me, and it has all these kind of beach boulders colours, and I'm just going to work a few of these tones within the rocks. nice big textures, and because it's been sprayed in here, it now gives this very beautiful kind of biscuity surface to these areas that have been sprayed. So that's a lovely deliberate thing. And again, you can see how the textures are being celebrated within the landscape and each particular object with the marks I'm making now. So this lovely sandy colour will link perfectly. Now this is a yellow and blue complement, and together it will give you that edge, which gives you that fantastic sort of like blue-green that's sort of there as well. So you'll see those sort of trace shapes coming through, and then link it, just drag them and let the pastels intermix. You can see how the pastels intermix. You don't get worried about this. You can actually then take a little bit of foam, clean. So good to use it as a blending marker. Eye following the direction of the stroke all the time as you build these marks together. Okay, right, switching, lovely yellow, and then looking at this big long stone in the front, big powerful stone. See how that makes a massive difference to the work. And then look for areas again where these stones occur. Yellow, the life giver. See how that works? Gorgeous. Different strokes. Big flat stones over here again that mimic some of these others that are in the foreground. Slopes. These come up from the bottom. Nice big flicks of marks. Like a loaded brush, like a loaded acrylic brush. Back into the ocean, that's on the beach, between the ocean. And see how that lovely bit of yellow gives it luminosity. See the complementary colours there, letting some of them blend, some of them work around each other. All that kind of lost and found approach. Big strokes again, side. Wouldn't be possible if you didn't take the wrapper off. The immediacy of it is amazing. So we're just about ready to leave it there now. Yeah, just a few final marks. Okay, so those final marks there just to wrap it up for us today. So fantastic to be here amongst the wild, sharing this with you here at Saltwick Bay. Right on cue. We have our nature. She just wants to join in too. So it's been wonderful to do this for you today. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you at the exhibition.